This is Detective Breeze.
Hi, Carl.
Hi.
Coffee. I'm sure you'll be wanting some coffee. Patricia, help me in the kitchen.
Carl, what a character is that mom? What a well-performed piece of work all around. Spectacular casting, spectacular performance.
They clearly spent a lot of money on this one. It's a period piece, and the costumes, and they had correct period cars, and the lovely decoration of the sets, including this an Italian house, so there's a picture of Sinatra on the wall. Yes, the mother, what's the matter? Your legs are broken? Get your own cereal. The performances, the writing, the moment where the zip on the back of his head is revealed, and I was like, oh, did that not make us all jump in our seats? So, yeah, very good. Every aspect of this film was well done, and I do think they spent a lot of money making it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the part that I liked best was the feeling of the era and feeling that you're really at that time. And I thought it had good characters, but it left me a little cold as a piece itself. I didn't know what it's trying to say about Son of Sam or these people in relationship to it.
I especially liked the family dynamic. It was so, typically, as you say, Italian. The mother takes control and tells everybody what to do. Yeah, it's interesting because it doesn't finally, I don't know how it ties in with the Son of Sam. It does not make that connection in the movie, in the picture, but so it gives you an answer as to what had happened, but it doesn't jump to how the news broke out about Son of Sam. That's the important part.
My friend and I thought that the mother was quite overplayed, but I guess not knowing too many Italian mamas, maybe that is more real than we thought.
I know so many, and it was spot on.
felt like overacting to me, but anyway, the characters were all very good. It was entertaining. It was interesting. It was quite odd with the zipper in the back of the head, and. He from the front looked so normal, and from the back, like something out of the horror film. So anyway, it was very interesting, and I think it tied it up well at the end that he didn't know, he couldn't imagine any of the people on the list did it, and he was crossing them all off, and then that it turns out to be a random shooting makes a lot of sense.
On the note about the scar, but he cannot grow that hair back fast enough.
I don't know if anyone else caught, but it was actually his daughter who made the film. Yeah. So she would have this second generation removed from hearing the story, having an experience with the mother who would have been her grandmother, right? If the mother is still alive, and then hearing the story and then reinterpreting it from all the stories she had heard. So I don't know if it was so much needed to be tied to what's the connection to the Son of Sam, etc., except this actually happened to her family. So that's what, and I think as far as the money, it looked like they had a fairly successful Indiegogo campaign to raise money for it. So I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought that at the ending, seeing it was his daughter who made the film actually added more of the family perspective to me.
The Bobo, whatever his name is, BB. Who the hell names that kid that? What do you think, he's gonna be a banker?
Yeah, Bobo's only on here because he stole a bike 2 years ago.
The piece is about a man named Carl De Niro, who, if you read the credits, is in the movie. His daughter, Casey De Niro, is the director of the film. She grew up to make it, and that's where that tag at the end says, I'm not quite sure why I survived, except maybe to take care of my daughter. Now, the interesting thing that people mentioned about it not really tying together, kind of leaving you cold, my suspicion on that, I've watched this movie a couple times, and I really enjoyed it, is that it's a true story, which means its ending isn't necessarily going to wrap up the way a perfect Hollywood movie would. It's a real person's life. And the whole story revolves around, while they're trying to find out who did this, what they think is a random attack. They're trying to pin it on the brother, on Carl, as this is just a drug deal that went wrong. Who gave you the drugs? Well, he's not going to tell you. His sister gave him the drugs. He's not going to pin it on his sister. So he's not going to let that slip. But ultimately, his mother, who thinks that he should just say who did it because it's his fault for being doing drugs anyway, finds out when they report that it's a string of attacks by somebody who's been identified as Son of Sam, that she's been wrong, and the police have been wrong, and they've been chasing a wild goose. And there's some other thing. So the blame is shifted from him and his family and his situation, and he's responsible, and it's him who has to figure out who did it by giving up the name. It's actually something that had nothing to do with any of them. And that's why she makes him breakfast, her weird little apology. And goes, by the way, now that we know that it's a string of attacks, there's a serial killer who tried to kill you, I hope you don't mind there's some people coming to take your photo. You look good, fix your tie. So the whole piece, this whole film is wrapped up around this one guy's experience trying to not make his sister the suspect that eventually became the Son of Sam shootings. But that's how I read it. The one thing they don't talk about in this film that rung home with me is the trauma that Carl De Niro must have faced. His head got ripped open. He probably almost died. And it was the 70s, and nobody understood what was happening until weeks and weeks later. It had to have been an absolutely horrifying event, and he can't get a moment of peace about it because of the house that he lives in and the world he's coming from. And what a fantastic scene at that dinner table with like that classic 70s dishware and the milk and the camera panning around, keeping this dynamic energy going and going as this fight spirals until he just passes out. Fantastically well shot. Completely valid to think that it kind of does leave you on a cliffhanger. It does leave you without an ending because the story went on and on.